They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What's up, YouTube? This is the real Super Mario bringing you the Guardians of the Galaxy analysis episode part 2. Alright, so this part will cover the side characters and the villains. Part 1 covered the plot. This one, actually, we get to characters. We get to some of the meat and potatoes of the story. I'll be covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. 2 of them are, well, 3 of them are kind of side characters. The other ones are the villains. We'll be covering, there's a lot of stuff about them. So I'm going to start off with some of the lesser known, well, the ones I know less about. So here we go. Yondu. Yondu is Star-Lord's mentor and father figure. He's being played by Michael Rooker, which already confirms he's gonna be awesome. Alright, because if you didn't watch The Walking Dead, or if you did watch The Walking Dead, you would know that Michael Rooker is an awesome character. It would be kind of cool if they kind of blended some of his like racist moral characteristics into Yondu, but I don't think they're gonna do that because Yondu's kind of supposed to be a hero. Because he's kind of the first unofficial Guardian of the Galaxy. He kind of came up with the concept and the idea, of what the group would become. So I don't think that's gonna happen, but it would be interesting. Like he hates, like for instance, they could have it so that he hates the Kree. The Kree are some of the main antagonists in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books. So they can say, oh, he hates Kree, and it could be part of his motivation to form the Guardians in the first place. But yeah, he's Star-Lord's father figure. Since Star-Lord did come to space as a child, he would need a father figure and mentor, somebody. So I think Yondu will be in the movie for a while. He'll play kind of a big role in Star-Lord's character development, but I do think he's going to die. The reason I think that is they said that he's the first, Guardian of the Galaxy. He's kind of like the prototype of what the group would be. Also, I think that his death is going to be the trigger that kind of like brings Star-Lord into focus as to what he has to do. I think Ronan will probably kill him. The first appearance of Ronan will probably be him killing Yondu. Because you see, there's the pictures I found of Yondu or Michael Rooker playing Yondu on set were pictures of him, and there's these flaming ship parts everywhere, and like there was a crash, so I think he dies around that location somewhere. Ronan shoots him down, hunting him down, kills him. I think that's Yondu pretty much. That's gonna be his role in the story. He's gonna be the one who founds the Guardians, kinda, and he's going to be the one to help bring Star-Lord into focus. Next character is, I can't really pronounce this name right, so I'm going to call him by his last name for most of this, but Roman Day. So he's being played by John Riley. Otherwise known as the dude from Step Brothers. John Riley, he's playing Roman Day. Roman Day is the head of Nova Corps. So Nova Corps is kind of like it's kind of like the special defense force of Xandar and this part of the galaxy. You know, so they're like Shield. They're basically like the Shield of this part of the galaxy, and you know, he's the head. So he's kind of like I guess you would call him Nick Fury. Um, but he also has some you know some parts of him are also like Phil Coulson too. But yeah, he's gonna be the one who gives the Guardians an opportunity. You know, he lets them out of jail. You know, and he's like he kind of gives them an opportunity to redeem themselves and be heroes. You see, there's one part in the trailer where he talks about well, you see Glenn Close as Nova Prime talking to someone, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to, do you want to put the lives of 12 billion people in the hands of criminals?" I believe the person she's talking to is Roman Day. You know, I do believe that he's the one who kind of gives them a chance. Now, the reason I say he's gonna be like Phil Coulson in the story is because in the comic books he dies. He sacrifices himself to save Xandar from I think it's an attack by the Kree. You know, not this particular story, but he dies in the comic books. So what I'm thinking is that Ronan kills him too. You know, and his death is the emotional trigger that helps bring the Guardians together. Kind of like the way Phil's quote unquote death in Avengers was the trigger that brought the Avengers together. That's what made them stop fighting each other and start working together to, save the galaxy. You can even see there's a picture from the trailer where Gamora is reaching out to somebody who seems to be like encircled by like light and debris, or maybe just like light or energy, and this person's hand looks like they're in pain, and she's kind of reaching out to this person. I'm thinking that is Day, that is Roman Day, and he is being shot by Ronan the Accuser's energy blast, because his hammer shoots energy. So I'm thinking that is the death scene. And she's like reaching out, she's like, no, and I think that is the trigger that triggers the Guardians to work together. So he's kind of like Nick Fury and Phil Coulson all in a nutshell. Sounds awesome to me. Yeah, so he's gonna play a big role in the story. I know I'm rolling pretty quick through this, but I'm trying to keep these videos kind of short. Even though they're analysis videos, I don't want them to be like long spanning 20-30 minute videos. At least I'll try not to, because there's a lot of ground to cover. But I'm going into the villains now. Alright, so first villain, Korath the Accuser, Korath the Pursuer. Man. He's basically gonna be like he's gonna be Ronan's bounty hunter. So take him as like Jango Fett. He's kind of like Jango Fett. He's going to be his mission is to help Ronan find the Infinity Gems. And you see part of this in the beginning, when in the beginning of the first trailer, when you see him with Star-Lord, and Star-Lord has the gem, and he's like, put it down, so yeah, he's looking for the gems too, but he's working for Ronan. He's one of his 2 minions in this movie. Yeah, Korath, he's gonna be a pretty interesting character. Like, one of the most entertaining parts of the trailer was, you see him talking to Star-Lord when they first meet, And he's like, yeah, do you know who I am? You know, and he's like, no. He's like, yeah, I'm Star-Lord. He's like, who? Too funny, man. It's too funny. Um, let's see. Oh, that's right. He also has some pretty interesting connections to other movies. So I'm gonna get into it in a few seconds. But also in the trailer, there's a fight. Well, it's not really a fight scene, you know, but it's like a few seconds of a fight, and you can see that Koraf and Star Lord are on a rainy junk planet, and I think this is part of the big fight. You know, the big fight where then I call this the big fight. It's going to be at the end, you know, right before they get to Ronin, and you know they finish him, and go on to other stuff. I think the big fight between those two takes place on this rainy planet, you know, and you see, you know, Star Lord in his full gear, you know, and you know, I think that they're gonna kind of be, you know, rivals or nemesis in this movie. You know, Koraf is chasing Star Lord through the galaxy, kind of like that. But the big thing, the interesting thing about Koraf will be his connection to the Avengers. In the comic books, he gets killed by Alteron. Yep, Alteron, as in, you know, Avengers 2 Alteron. Now, will they actually address this? Maybe, maybe not. But it's interesting note that, you know, this dude is in the Guardians and he gets killed by the Avengers' next villain. You know, they're adding more space into the Avengers. You know, since, I mean, how many threats on Earth are gonna involve, you know, are gonna need that much attention that you need all these heroes? You know, it has to be something extraterrestrial. So this is setting up villains that will eventually end up on Earth, which is interesting. The other, this next character isn't, well, it's not known if he's a villain or not, but he could very well be a villain, and that is the Collector. The Collector, we saw him in Thor 2. I didn't see Thor 2. I haven't seen Thor 2 yet, so don't kill me, whatever. But I haven't seen Thor 2 yet. I did hear he's in the movie. I probably should check that out. But yeah, he's a collector of interstellar organisms. He you know, I mean, it's already been said that he's gonna be like Liberace. You know, so that means he could be an antagonist, he could be a protagonist, we don't really know. But the connection I see him having with the Guardians is, I see his character going two ways. One, Groot is seemingly like one of the last of his species. His species is endangered or rare. So, of course, that would be he would be perfect target for the Collector. You know, wouldn't it be awesome if they had like a, you know, like a throwback to Star Wars, like a nod to Star Wars, where, you know, Groot gets captured by, say, Koraf, you know, and petrified, and then given to the Collector. Yeah, you know, see, that's a nod to the whole Han Solo, you know, frozen in carbonite thing. Awesome. You know, I can see him being a villain, like an eccentric villain, you know, and, you know, there's an arc in the movie where, you know, oh, okay, here we go, perfect way to explain it. We'll have, like, of course there's going to be an arc in the movie where, you know, I almost called them the Avengers, where the Guardians fight each other like the Avengers did, and there's a moment where they kind of split up. Well, let's just say in that moment, let's just say Groot gets captured by Koraf, petrified, given to the Collector, and part of the bringing the Guardians back together arc, they have to go find Groot and depetrify him and go after Ronan and save the galaxy. Awesome, right? The other way I see his character going, still as a villain, is being more of a more like the mellow Venji from the Matrix. If you remember him, he was kind of like this French, like douchebaggy type of villain, and he didn't really care about the machine human war. He didn't care about none of that. He really cared about becoming more powerful, and he held things that the heroes needed in order to succeed in what they were trying to do, but he didn't really care because he just wanted to become more powerful. They could easily make the Collector a character like that. I liked the mellow Venji, and they could make the Collector similar to him, having him just care about it. He could even have like one of the Infinity Gems, because in the comics the Collector does have a gem for a time, but he doesn't understand its power, so I guess he ends up giving away or something. Well, he can, in the movie, he can have one of the gems in his collection, and the Guardians have to get it. I mean, they are criminals, so we could have kind of like a heist type of moment where they have to rob the Collector. Again, awesome, And the last way his character could go is I did some research. When I was doing research, back when this was just one video, I found out that the Guardians base is actually the Nowhere, which is the Collector's ship. So maybe the Collector is a protagonist, and he gives them his ship, in exchange for, I guess, like examining Groot or something, or either they end up taking his ship after they beat him. They both could happen. But yeah, the Collector is probably one of the most mysterious characters that I don't know as much about, and I can probably throw the most theories at. Alright, back to the villains, the people we know who are villains, and that's Nebula. Alright, Nebula is another one of Thanos' daughters. So she is technically like, I guess you can call her Gamora's sister, stepsister, / rival. Because you see in the trailer that both of them fight. They do fight in the trailer, and I believe this is probably going to be part of the big fight at the end. Because the big fight is going to involve Nebula, Gamora, Korath, Star-Lord, and probably Drax, Groot, and Rocket fighting somebody else. There really should be a third villain in here somewhere. A third villain could be the Collector. We don't know. Yeah. So they're kind of like, they kind of have a sibling rivalry going on. Even though I do see Gamora as kind of a reluctant daughter of Thanos, kind of the way like Katana from Mortal Kombat is Shao Kahn's daughter. It's kind of like, she's the Emperor's daughter, adopted daughter, only because the Emperor killed her dad, took over the whole region. It's probably something like that. The reason why she's one of the last of her people is because Thanos blew up her planet and adopted her. The same thing could go for Nebula, but Nebula probably embraced the evilness of Thanos more than Gamora did. And I also see Nebula's character being similar to Ventress from the Clone Wars, from Star Wars. I mean, she even looks kind of like Ventress, and she fights with 2 swords like Ventress, Uh, if there's a future to this movie, if there's a 2 or 3, I can see her eventually probably siding with the Guardians to stop her father, her adopted father, from taking over and or destroying the galaxy. Um, she's being played by Karen Gillian, otherwise known as Amy Pond from Doctor Who, which I've been recently kind of getting into. So it's crazy seeing her, bald and blue. All that lovely red hair is gone. I saw her at I saw pictures of her from Comic Con. She takes the wig off, and it's like, oh snap, she's bald. Um, but back to the matter at hand. So then we get to the big baddies of the movie. All right. Now this, these are the main villains of the movie, and first one being Ronan the Accuser. Alright, Ronan is an interesting character because in the comics he's kind of a anti-hero. He's kind of like a religious bounty hunter of sorts. He kind of like enacts religious justice, righteous justice on people, even people that aren't exactly bad. It's more like righteous justice in his eyes and the eyes of the Kree people. In this movie, he's more of a monstrous villain, than in the comics. In the comics, he's more of a. I mean, he does have his good merits, but in the movie, he seems to be pure monster. At least that's what I've been hearing from reading around and research. He's being played by Lee Pace, who played the Elf King in the recent Hobbit movies, which is awesome. And his character was dickish at best in that movie. I mean, he did try to kill them in the second Hobbit movie because, he hates dwarves. In this movie, it's similar. He's playing Ronan, where Ronan really hates everybody he feels is immoral. And he's a religious radical. He is a member of the Kree. So the Kree people, and there's a big, massive invasion scene, which is probably his army. So the Kree army invading Xandar. His main quest in this movie is to destroy Xandar, pretty much by all means necessary. So he doesn't care how he does it. He doesn't really care. He just wants them dead because he believes, that they are immoral and beneath him, and they should die. So, he goes to great lengths to do this, even, making a deal with Thanos to give him the Infinity Gems to help him destroy, Xandar and possibly the galaxy. I would not be surprised in one bit that he gets a hold of one of the Infinity Gems and uses it to try to kill the Guardians. That could be like the ultimate fight scene, There's another theory I have about his character. If there's a future for this franchise, future for this movie, if they go 2 and 3 and stuff like that, they may kill him in this movie, because I do believe that he probably kills Yondu and Day and Roman Day. But if they don't kill him, one thing they could do is they could go back to his religious bounty hunter roots from the comics and have him be more like that, if have him kind of be a anti-hero, have him like, he got beaten by the Guardians, he got screwed over by Thanos, and have him kind of just be in it for himself, kind of like how Captain Norrington from the Pirates of the Caribbean started off as kind of kind of an antagonist, kind of a protagonist in the first one, but he's more of an antagonist. And in the second one, You know, he's a drunken failure. You know what I'm saying? He goes to great lengths to get back to where he was. You know, and in doing that, pretty much kills Jack and, you know, puts in motion all of the events of the third movie. Um, you know, which eventually leads to his death. That could be Ronan. They could do that. They could have like Ronan be this awesome bad guy and have him lose to the Guardians and get screwed over by Thanos, or have him lose because he gets screwed over by Thanos. You know, and Thanos screws him over and takes the Infinity Gems, leaves him hanging. He gets beaten by the Guardians. Now he's broken, defeated, and he does whatever it takes to get back to where he was as leader of the Kree. You know, which, you know, brings about some horrible events for the Guardians. That would be an awesome turn for this movie. Man, and this video is approaching 25 minutes. Oh well, I tried. On to probably the biggest baddie in this movie. And probably the reason why this video is late, because this video was supposed to come out yesterday, but I actually added this part on because yesterday they announced who was playing Thanos, and it's Josh Brolin, who is awesome. But Thanos is gonna be in this movie. So I had theories that if he would be in the movie or he would have a cameo like he did in the Avengers, but now that there's an actor, he's in it officially. Alright, we're gonna see Thanos. We might even hear Thanos. He might even say something, but I doubt he's gonna fight. If he does, that would be interesting. But Thanos in this movie is the puppet master of the universe, of the galaxy. He is, I mean, he's the puppet master behind Loki's attack on Earth. He's the guy behind Ronan's quest to destroy Xandar. You know, he's after, you know, he's after power. He wants power for something, possibly to take over the galaxy, or possibly to do something else. But he wants power. You know, like he was after the Tesseract in the first in the Avengers. He's after the Infinity Gems in this movie. You know, he wants power. That's what he wants. You know, and so you know, he's gonna basically, you hear that? He's gonna use everybody in his grand scheme to conquer the galaxy, or whatever his scheme may be. You know, Thanos is the big bad villain of this movie, and we're gonna see him. He's connected to the Avengers already, you know, so he could be getting the Infinity, because in the end of the Avengers, he's like, "Oh, the humans can't be defeated so easily," you know. Yeah, we need something more, or something like that. You know, basically saying people aren't pushovers. So maybe he needs the Infinity Gems in order to defeat humanity, in order to beat the Avengers. That could be one thing. But yeah, this is gonna be awesome, man. This movie is gonna be awesome. My next video is part 3 of the Guardians of the Galaxy analysis.
Okay, also, I'm adding an extra video to this, I guess you can call it a series now. I'm adding an extra video to it. It's going to be about how this can possibly end. Because after doing a lot of research, you know, to make these videos, I came to some conclusions of some pretty cool ways to end it, or to continue it in the future, or to link it to the Avengers, all kinds of things. So the fourth video is going to be more, it's not exactly going to be an analysis video, more of a what if or theory speculation video. So that's going to be cool. I'm kind of putting that together slowly now. It probably won't be out for a while. Same thing with like part 3. Probably won't be out for a while, because I'm compiling stuff to do a road to E3 videos. I'm gonna do some of those next week, going into E3. But yeah, if you like this video, you like my videos, you want to know more, or you want to know when I'm putting up more videos, just hit like, comment, and subscribe. And keep it real with the real Super Mario.